morning to you, Chris. First of all, what have you made of Frank's early days as Ange Postecoglou's replacement?
Well, good morning to you. It's certainly going to be more pragmatic football than what we had under Ange Postecoglou in the last couple of years. Of course, Ange Postecoglou will always go down the Spurs legend, giving us that Europa League title, which was much needed trophy at Tottenham. But the training session yesterday actually finished 0-0. They split the squad into two teams. They played a training game and it finished 0-0. Now, when we used to watch Ange Postecoglou's training sessions, they used to finish 12-12. So that is the big difference, I feel, at the moment. He's going to be more pragmatic football under Thomas Frank. We've played 3 pre-season friendlies so far against 3 League One sides in Reading, Wickham and Luton. 2 of them finishing as a draw, including the 0-0 one on Saturday against Luton. But I do feel like there's a lot more work to do in this transfer window to back Thomas Frank. But overall, I think a lot of people are quite worried about what Spurs haven't done in the transfer window. There are 33 days left, though, to get work done. But when you have the chairman, Daniel Levy, and the new CEO in Vinay Venkatesam coming out and saying we want to fight on all fronts, you do hope that there is a lot of ambition, going into next season, and hopefully in the next month or so will be very busy for Spurs in terms of transfers.
Yeah, there is still plenty of time, isn't there? Still a month to go in this transfer window. There has been, though, a lot of talk about HeungMin Sons' future. Where do you stand on him? Is he still a key player for Spurs, or do you feel like his best days are behind him?
Well, he's certainly had a great 10 years at Tottenham, and if he does leave the football club this summer, then of course he will always be remembered for everything he has done at Spurs, and of course lifting that Europa League trophy. But he just seems to be very, very different right now. It's a very, very different Son. The body language is very different. He didn't really acknowledge the fans yesterday until right at the end when they did a meet and greet with the fans there. But he just seems to be a little bit more down at the moment. I would say that I can see Son leaving after the Asia tour. And, of course, every Spurs fan will wish him all the very best because he has had a fantastic 10 years at Tottenham. And, he's a legend of the club.
So a potential outgoing there. Let's stick on the theme of transfers because it looked like you had Morgan Gibbs-White, which I'd imagine you thought would have been a great signing. But sadly for you, he signed a contract extension in Nottingham Forest. How much of a blow is that?
It is, Tom, but of course you need to move on as a football club. You need to have a plan B, and you need to, go big in this transfer window. We've just won the Europa League, as I mentioned, and we're going to be playing Champions League football. Postecoglou virtually jeopardised his own job to win that Europa League for us. And by playing Champions League football, you need such a great squad, including a lot of depth as well. But in my opinion, we do need a real number 10. As I mentioned, the lack of creativity, in these 0-0 draws and training sessions in the last game as well, in the friendly against Luton. We need a number 10. We certainly need a number 6. I feel like we've needed to strengthen in that position for the last couple of seasons. Certainly need another left back as well. And in my opinion, we need a game changer still. We need someone who can put the ball in the net and come on from the bench, off the bench, and score goals. Dominic Solanke, of course, is out at the moment. So there's a lot to do in the transfer window. And Spurs finished 17th in the Premier League last year. If we want to be fighting on all fronts, and the chairman has come out and said we want to be fighting on all fronts, you would hope that there is a big plan to show real ambition. Because when you've won the Europa League, that parade in May, that night in Bilbao, were absolutely amazing, and we want to feel like that again and again. So hopefully, Spurs will go out, all out in the next 30 odd days and, sign some real quality players. But the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, that is exactly the calibre of player that Spurs should be looking to bring in.
Why do you think that Spurs haven't done much business, if any at all, yet so far, when, like you say, there are so many areas that you do need to see it strengthened, and you have got Champions League football to plan for as well?
That's a very good question. And from a fan's point of view, we want to see the signings, come in really early. I'm sitting here in Hong Kong, and it would have been really nice to see new signings come in the door and Thomas Frank to work with them. Officially we've signed 5 players in this transfer window so far, in this summer window. But when you look at that list with respect, Mohamed Kudus is the only one really you would say would be a starter. And in my opinion, as I've already mentioned, we need 3 or 4, players ready to come in and, be in that starting 11. But, Thomas Frank has only been here for a couple of weeks. There has been a lot of change at board level. There has been a lot of change, in the head coach department, in the coaching department. So, you'd hope that these decisions will be made very quickly now. But the big worry is that all of our rivals and, even the mid-table teams, they have done a lot of business and they have got a lot of really good deals over the line. So Spurs, in my opinion, at the start of the window, we had a lot of work to do, and now we have even more work to do.
Well, talking of rivals, you've got Arsenal tomorrow. Now, normally on Sky Sports News, we call these pre-season friendlies. I've noticed that all of our scripts say pre-season match for this one. How much can you read into tomorrow's game? Because I still can't believe that two rivals as strong as yours are playing each other at this time of the season.
Well, you're right, Tom. It's not going to be a pre-season friendly at all, is it? There's never a friendly against these two clubs. It's going to be a real test for Tottenham, that is for sure. We then go to South Korea to play Newcastle and then Bayern Munich. So these next three friendlies are very, very difficult matches, and we are going to really see what Tottenham are about and what Spurs really need to do in the transfer window. And we're also going to see what Thomas Frank football is all about as well at Spurs. But this Arsenal game, I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, they have had a lot of really good signings in the transfer window so far. And of course, Thomas Frank said they're one of the best teams in the world right now. We need to, get up to their level. We need to bypass their level as well. And, as I mentioned earlier, Chairman Daniel Levy said that we want to win the Premier League and the Champions League. There is a lot of work to do, but a lot of people here in Hong Kong and people have travelled all over the world to come and see this game. It's the first ever North London derby to be played outside of the UK. So everyone's very excited about it here.
Chris, great to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Should we talk about the Lionesses a bit more?
Yeah, go on
I
then.
think
Why
we
not?
should,
They
because
deserve it.
They do, don't they? They are history makers. They're the first